Skinny fat isn't just about how you look. It's actually more about what your body's missing. And it's easier to fix than you might think. So why do so many people struggle with this skinny fat look? And what's the simple approach to fix it for good? So in this video, I'm gonna cover a few things. One, why the skinny physique actually happens. Number two, the two-step formula to actually fix it. And three, the exact training and nutrition system to fix the skinny fat physique forever. What's up guys, Josiah Novak, owner of thetruetransformation.com. I help busy people with families who are over the age of 40 take back control over their health and fitness and improve how they look, feel, and perform while getting the maximum quality out of life. But what's the one mistake people make when trying to fix this whole skinny fat physique, and how can you avoid it? The skinny fat physique is not random. It's actually the result of two things that you're missing. The first thing is a lack of muscle mass. So we have a lot of people walking around right now that have just simply been eating too much food over the years. It comes down to a calorie balance, right? You have more food coming in than you have energy going out. Now, this is one part of the problem, but when it comes to muscle mass, you also have a lot of people walking around who just haven't been training consistently long enough to build any kind of amount of muscle mass that's going to look the way you want to look. See, most people don't train with what's called progressive overload, and that's simply getting stronger over time. A lot of guys, and you might be included, go in the gym and they kind of just go based off of feel. They're like, oh, curl the 20-pound dumbbell today, and then maybe a week later they're curling the 15-pound dumbbell, and then a week later it's the 30, and they forget they did the 30, and then they go back to the 20-pound dumbbell because, let's just be real, like that's what feels comfortable. So they just haven't trained properly long enough to build any kind of significant muscle mass. So their body, despite carrying a pretty good amount of body fat, is lacking the muscle mass required to get rid of the skinny part of the formula. And this just leads to a softer, kind of what I would call average physique, right? Somebody who has a gut, but very little muscle mass to go along with it. And then of course you add in the other problem, which is a lack of control over total calories. See, people want to eat all the foods they love, but they just don't understand how to control the amount of food that they're eating. I'm not here to tell you to stop eating your favorite foods. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a foodie by heart and I absolutely love eating out, and I like eating a lot of the foods you probably like eating. I've just managed to understand the importance of controlling your total calories, right? How much is going in and how much is going out. If we want to lose fat, we have to burn more calories than we eat. But over the course of maybe 10, 15, 20 years, because you went to college, maybe you stopped playing sports, then you had kids, you started a busy career, and next thing you know, you've just slowly added 2 or 3 pounds a year for 15 years. And that could easily translate into 45 pounds of just extra body fat. And I can tell you from experience, I was there. I totally understand how this all works. When I was in college, I actually ballooned up to 65 pounds over my ideal weight, and I had to work on getting that off. So I understand the formula behind the skinny fat physique, and I'm here to help you avoid it. So all skinny fat really is just low muscle mass, high body fat percentage. Think of your body like a house, and this house has no foundation when you're skinny fat. You don't have the muscle mass that you need to be strong, and you're carrying too much body fat, so it doesn't even look nice, right? It's like a huge home, but on the outside, it's broken windows, it just doesn't look appealing. And then underneath the surface is a cracked and destroyed foundation. So at any moment, this house could collapse and everything inside gets lost. So we want to fix both ends of the spectrum, and we're going to talk about how to do that coming up right now. So the solution is really simple. We got to build muscle and we got to lose fat kind of simultaneously over the same course of time. So here's how to set that up. So step one, let's talk about building muscle. And the reason why I'm breaking this down first is because I think a lot of people are a little bit confused about working out. I hear terms like, I'm gonna go do a fat loss workout, or I'm gonna go do this calorie burn with weights. And it's like, I think we've kind of missed the boat on this a little bit. At the end of the day, you should always go in the gym with the mindset, at least, of I'm trying to progress. I'm trying to keep my strength. I'm trying to hopefully do the things that are going to lead to more muscle. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you're going to build muscle like the guy at the gym who's super jacked, or the guy who's on boatloads of Deca, Winstrol, and Tren. Yeah, those are steroids for those who don't know. Some of the more popular ones, actually. But nonetheless, there's no need to compare yourself. It's just about you versus the curls and the squats and the leg press and all this other stuff that hopefully over time you'll get stronger on. Because see, we want to prioritize lifting smart, and that starts with what I call compound lifts. Now, I didn't come up with this term, obviously. It's hundreds of years old, I think, at this point, but compound lifts are basically lifts in the gym that recruit more than just one muscle group. So if you think about doing a dumbbell curl, yeah, technically there's probably more than one muscle group working there, but you're trying to isolate the bicep muscle. Now, a compound lift would be a pull-up where your biceps are still working, but now you've incorporated all of your back muscles and even the back of your shoulder and your forearms and almost your whole entire upper body to pull you up to the bar. That's a compound lift. The more compound lifts we focus on, the more we're gonna get better bang for our buck when it comes to getting stronger and packing on muscle. Now, I'm not gonna tell you that there's no place for isolation movements. There absolutely is. Any good coach or trainer will tell you that there is a time and place for just about everything. But the name of the game here is progressive overload and training sets with close to failure, at least one set per training exercise. So there's a whole other path we could go down here, but it's called reps in reserve and basically just refers to how many reps you could probably do if you had to when you get close to the end of a set. So we're trying to leave anywhere from 1 to 3 reps in reserve. That's how intense we want our sets to be. Where if there was a gun in our head, or not in our head, but a gun to our head, we could do 1 to 3 more reps. But the set was tough enough to where we only have 1 or 3 reps left. That's training with optimal intensity, and we want to do that at least once or twice per exercise that's in our training day. Now, I hope I haven't confused you too much here, but the name of the game is let's just track our lifts. Let's just make sure we're getting stronger over time on the right lifts, okay? The lifts that are gonna provide the most bang for your buck. If we get that part down, that's step number 1, we're gonna then move to step number 2. And step number 2 is we gotta lose fat. Now, we're talking about eliminating a skinny fat physique, so I'm not gonna jump into the aggressive fat loss approach where you might be someone who already carries a lot of muscle mass and you just carry too much body fat to go along with it, and you wanna aggressively attack that fat. We have to be a little bit more careful here. Why? Because we don't carry a ton of muscle, so we don't want to lose any, and we want to provide our body with at least enough protein and a decent amount of calories to hopefully hit that holy grail of fitness, which is building muscle and losing fat simultaneously. So we want to be in a moderate calorie deficit. All right, and what that basically means is we burn this many calories per day. We don't need to drop our calories way low in order to start losing fat. We just want to be moderately underneath our total output. For most people, this will take your goal body weight times the number 12 to 13, and that'll put you in range of a moderate calorie deficit, assuming a few other factors are in place. Nonetheless, we also want to pair that up with a decent amount of protein intake. Now, my general recommendation is 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. So whatever you want to weigh, eat 1 gram of protein per pound every single day. Now, I'm not going to tell you to stop doing cardio, but what I am going to tell you to do is stop living on the Peloton. You don't need to do 2 hours of cardio 3 times per week in this scenario. We want to just maintain a decent amount of activity. Tracking your steps, probably a great idea, but we don't need to go ballistic with cardio. We're trying to get rid of the fat, but we're also trying to build a little bit of muscle at the same time. So let's talk about the exact plan to transform your body. I'm going to give you even more details as we get into the nitty-gritty here. So here's your skinny fat transformation blueprint, which if you follow, you should start to see results over the next 4, 8, and 12 weeks, and so on and so forth. So take out a pen and paper. Let's get to work. First thing we're gonna talk about is the training plan. Now I'm gonna suggest 4 days of lifting per week. No more. If you gotta do 3, totally fine. 3 lifting sessions for 30 to 45 minutes is kind of like a B grade. If you knock out a 4th, then you are an A student. The split I like here, just keep it super simple, is upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body. So you're basically training your upper body twice per week and your lower body twice as well. Now, for those of you who don't love training legs, here's the good news. If you got to skip a day, probably be the second lower body day. I know all the guys, all the bodybuilders out there who are like, no, but you got to have the perfectly symmetrical. Okay, cool. I don't think you need to be perfectly symmetrical if you're a dad who's 45 who just wants to have abs at the beach. Ultimately, you just want to look, feel, and perform pretty good. Now, as we get deeper and deeper into being a fitness person, then yeah, you might want to hit the legs twice, maybe not. But ultimately, if you do hit them twice, great. 4 days a week, plenty. We're also gonna incorporate more aesthetic-based movements, things like side laterals for our shoulders, triceps, biceps, some calves, a little bit of the fun bodybuilder stuff just to make sure our physique is looking good as we build muscle. And we're just gonna hit a step goal every day. We're gonna have a goal of about 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. We might want to increase that as you get closer and closer to losing that last little bit of fat, but this is a really good place to just live. It's going to make you feel good. It's not going to be overwhelming amounts of cardio. And ultimately, you're going to actually have a balanced life. You're not going to be living in the gym. You're not going to be living on a treadmill or whatever. You're not gonna have to get up at 4 a.m. and do 2 hours of cardio. You're just gonna be walking slightly more than probably what you do now. So now let's jump into the nutrition plan. And yes, you are gonna track your calories and you're also gonna track your protein. Listen, if you can't do those two things or you're not willing to learn how to do them, then you must not wanna lose the skinny fat physique all that much. So just take my word for it. You track these two things, you're just about guaranteed to get ripped. And you're also guaranteed to pack on some really nice looking muscle that's just gonna make you look that 10% better to where you feel super confident in every room that you go into. So we're gonna start with that number I gave you before, 12 times your goal body weight. This is where I think you're gonna have enough food to not go crazy hungry, and you're also gonna be in a pretty good calorie deficit to start losing weight week over week without sacrificing hard-earned muscle, and hopefully adding some muscle over the next 12 to 16 weeks. I'm gonna give you a real simple formula for breaking up your macros. We're gonna go 40% of your calories from protein, technically. Now, this percentage point might change based off the number I gave you to set your protein, which is 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. But do the math a little bit and see if we're pretty close, because we wanna be around that 30 to 40% protein mark, and then we're gonna be super basic. 30% fat, 30% carbs. 50-50 split. We're not going low carb. We're also not going low fat. We're going moderate each so you feel like a normal, functioning, high energy human. Now, I'm only gonna give you 2 more quick tips here because I think these 2 are probably at the top of my list. When I used to be skinny fat way back in the day and I really needed to prioritize changing my physique, these 2 things helped me the most. Now, these 2 things aren't easy for some of you because I get it. You live a busy life, you have kids, you have a career, you have a social life. You also have a spouse who wants to spend time with you. So I'm only gonna tell you this because I care about you, but these 2 things will make a big difference. And if you can make these things a reality, I promise you, your health and your physical state are going to change dramatically. The first one might surprise you, and that is sleep. Sleep is vital. 7 to 8 hours a night is ideal. But I'm gonna tell you between 6 and 7 is, for me at least, the sweet spot. If I get that amount, I have the energy to get everything done, including my workouts, including controlling my appetite, and also not being a jerk to my kids, which is also important. The last thing we want is to be a super shredded dude who everybody hates because you don't get enough sleep. But sleep is vital for a number of reasons. I'm not gonna get into all of them here, but ultimately the one thing that does for me is it helps me control my appetite. And boy, do I got a big appetite. Anybody who tries to out-eat me, good luck. I love food, so I gotta control myself. The number one way I do that is better sleep. The other thing is minimizing alcohol consumption, which can kind of kill you on both ends. It can really slow down muscle building and it can absolutely kill fat loss. I'm not saying you can't have a couple drinks here and there. I just limit it to once a week if I'm dead serious about transformation. And sometimes I would limit it to 0 alcohol for 30 days at a time. A really good tip that someone gave me a long time ago was doing this bookend strategy. And that's where the first 30 days of a plan, no alcohol. The middle 30 days, a drink or 2 a week. And then the last 30 days, no alcohol. And if you can do that for 90 days, you're ultimately gonna come out way ahead of most who struggle to minimize or eliminate alcohol consumption. So building muscle and starting to lose fat is really just the start of a total transformation. But what if I told you I had even more secrets to not only getting ripped, but getting down to elite levels of body fat where you're actually super shredded? Now, I'm gonna give you all these tips for free. All you have to do is go to the link in the description of this video and probably in the first comment. I actually have 40 tips for guys over 40 who want to look like they're 20, ripped, muscular, and feel young again. Here's the deal. All you gotta do is put your email in, and every single day for 40 days, I'm gonna send you the best tips that I've acquired. From working with over 7,500 people over the last 20 years, I've learned a thing or two, and I wanna share those things with you. So 40 tips, 40 days, no strings attached. I won't even pitch you for most of the emails. Just go put your email in, and you'll start getting my top secret stuff right now. So fixing the skinny fat physique doesn't mean spending hours in the gym. It doesn't mean living on the Peloton or only eating tuna and rice for the rest of your life. What it does mean is starting to fix some of the little things that people don't pay attention to, like your total calories, tracking your lifts in the gym, and making sure you're getting enough steps, all of which can be done while living a very normal and fun lifestyle. Now, if you got to this point in the video, what I can tell you is losing the skinny fat physique is just the start. You're ultimately gonna start trimming away body fat, building a little bit of muscle, and your body fat's gonna start to come down. But then you're gonna wanna probably get to the point where you can see your abs. Now, I made a video on this exact topic. It's how I would go from 30% body fat down to 10% body fat. And I think it'll work really well. hand in hand with this video. So your next step is to go click the link somewhere up here and check out that video because it is the next step in true transformation. Now, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, check out the 40 tips for guys over 40. The link is below. And let me know in the comments, do you have any more questions about fixing the skinny fat physique? I'd be happy to answer all of them. I'm Josiah Novak with thetruetransformation.com. I'll talk to you in the next one. Life moves fast, make it count. Peace.